Well, good morning. It's Dr. Kremens here. I'm actually in my car right now. You can kind of see me. I'll move my my camera over in a second, or my phone over in a second. My wife has a doctor's appointment this morning, so I thought I would just try to do some location filming. I did all my videos last semester in my office, and I said, you know what? I have to make this video about paper number one anyway, and since I can't wait in the waiting room with her, I figured I would just film this in the car while she was at her appointment. So I want to talk a little bit about paper number one. All these notes I have here on my whiteboard that I brought with me this morning, I will also put up on Blackboard when I post this announcement. So this is a basic structure that I want you to follow if you want to pause your video and take a look at it. And I want to talk a little bit about it. So here, let me move my camera over here, or my phone, and I'll take my mask down. I'm by myself in the car here. So hi, I'm talking to you from Belmont. I'm over near Belmont, and not too far from Clark Street over here in Chicago. I'm right across from the Catcade, which is the cat rescue and adoption place. If you've never been there, the next time you come to Chicago, when it's safe and they're open, you should definitely come by and check them out. They're a great adoption place, and you can hang out with the cats when you come to visit. But anyway, let me talk about paper number one. So for paper number one, here's what you want to focus on. So paper number one is fairly straightforward. It's the most narrative paper of all the ones that we're going to do this semester. Most of the other ones, we're going to be using outside sources. You're going to be doing like analyses of the different readings that you're doing. So you'll notice this one's a little bit different. You are reading a text. In this case, you're reading the piece from Diebeck, and you have that map from Porcelino. But it doesn't have the kind of analysis that we'll do in the next couple of papers where you're going to read a source and then analyze it and discuss it. So for this one, here's the structure that I would suggest. And I will do this, by the way, for all of the papers that we do over the course of the semester. I'll make sure to give you like an outline and some suggestions. And as I've said before, email me if you need help or other ideas on any of these papers as we kind of go forward. But for your introduction, okay, so for the first paragraph, identify for me in that first paragraph what I'm looking at on your map. And I should say you should do the map first. It doesn't have to be elaborate. If you don't draw, or you don't draw a lot, you just need 3 locations on it. You can be as creative as you want, though. You could do it as a collage if you want to. I'm not going to be grading you on the drawing. I hope you have fun with it. I think hopefully you'll have fun kind of putting those images together. And I thought about this the other day because someone had asked me, and saying that they were nervous about having to do the drawings, and don't be. Just have fun. Again, I'm not going to judge your drawing. I like drawing myself, but I like all kinds of different styles of drawing. It doesn't have to be realistic. It doesn't have to be perfect. Drawing, like writing, is a technology. It's something that we all can do, and we all do it. We all draw in a different way. So whatever you're comfortable with, if you want to make a black and white color, that's up to you. I do that because I've probably mentioned I'm sort of a visual learner myself, and I know for some folks, if you're like me, sort of visualizing something first, especially something you're going to write about, is often it makes the writing process easier. So it's a little experiment. This is the only assignment I have like this in this semester that has this kind of visual component in quite this way. So once you've done the map and you have your 3 locations on it, what you should do in the first paragraph of the paper is tell me what it is I'm looking at. Why did you decide to draw it, for example? What is it about those locations that are meaningful to you, that are meaningful to your memory and to your life? So what is that, and how did you come to that decision? So, for your thesis for this, it could be something as simple as, in this map, I show these locations from my childhood, and I've selected these because they are important in my memories of my friends and my family, whatever it is that I'm looking at. So just identify it. Like, what is it that I'm looking at in your map? In your map, by the way, a lot of you asked me some good questions about this. You can insert it into the end of the doc if you know how to do that. It's fairly easy to do in Word. I've never done that in Google Docs. I use it a lot, but I don't think I've done anything recently where I've had an image in a Google Doc. But I'm pretty sure I can help you with that. It's similar to how you would do it in Word. The other way to do it, and this is even simpler, if you're not sure how to insert it, or if it's too much trouble, just take a picture of the image that you drew, and then you send that along to me with the paper, as a separate attachment if that's easier. And again, if you have any trouble with that, just email me. We can figure it out. It should be pretty easy for you to do. So that's your introduction. Now, you'll notice on the directions that I mentioned that you should have at least 3 locations. So that's the way to structure the middle of the paper. Each one of your middle body paragraphs of the paper can have a focus on one of those locations. So tell me where it is, tell me why it's important or meaningful to you. Tell me what it is that I'm looking at, and if there's certain memories that are associated with those locations. That's what you can write about in those middle or body paragraphs of the paper. I think that gives you kind of a natural structure. In fact, if you think about it, this paper is almost like kind of a 5-paragraph structure, which I'm sure you probably did in high school. And that's a good basic structure for most essays. Of course, the more you write, the more you'll get away from that structure. But I'm always a big believer in having a very scaffolded, as they say, or structured approach to most essays so that you kind of know how to put the pieces together. A lot of writing is kind of formulaic in that way, where you have a structure that you follow, almost like having a math program. Or math problem, and then you plug in certain information in certain parts of the piece that you're writing. So at any rate, for the middle of the paper, the body paragraphs would just focus on that. Each one of the locations would probably have its own short paragraph. And then for your conclusion, which most likely will be probably your 4th or your 5th paragraph. I've had students do this paper in the past where in the body of the paper, since it's a 2 to 3 pager, right, what they did was that they maybe had 2 longer body paragraphs, and they were able to talk about the 3 locations in that way. So I don't want to force you into like a 5-paragraph structure if 4 paragraphs is going to do the job. Anything shorter than 4 paragraphs, though, is going to be too short. You're not going to have enough space in the middle to really develop the idea. So it's got to be I would say at least 4 paragraphs for this paper. And a couple of you had asked me that over email, so thanks for checking on that. So for the conclusion, this is the part of the paper where you're going to be able to quote from Dybeck. And if you've read the story Farwell, at the very end of it, there's a reference, not an image. I should have mentioned that. There's no drawing in that story. But at the very end of it, there is a line where the main character, Dybeck probably himself, sees a map on the wall of his friend Babovich, right? And he sees the map, and he asks Babovich, what is that map of? It's had all these circles. It's a map of Odessa, the city in Ukraine where Babovich is originally from. And Babovich says, oh, those are bakeries, or my favorite bakeries, the bakeries that he remembered from a kid when he was growing up in Odessa. So those places where he'd get rye bread, or he'd get cakes or cupcakes or cookies or whatever. So I have a feeling that those, if you think of that as his memory map, what he's doing is he's recalling those places. He's recalling the things that are meaningful to him and that give him a sense of grounding, I guess you could say, since he's living in Chicago. And as you know from having read the story, he's moved around quite a bit. And so he doesn't have that sense of place that he probably did when he was a little kid. So your last paragraph is the place where you want to quote one line from the story, something about Babovich or maybe about his map, and you can compare very briefly in the last paragraph how your memory map compares to what you think about Babovich's. Now, again, Dybeck doesn't give you a lot of description of that map. He sort of throws it in there, and he wants you to imagine it, and he wants you to also imagine what that map of those bakeries in Odessa probably meant to Babovich. Why does he have that nostalgic, close connection, and why does he want to have those up on his wall so that they're there for him to look at? Okay, so that's how I would approach this paper. Again, it's a 2 to 3 pager, so try to at least get to the bottom of the second page. If you go on to page 3, that's fine. If it becomes a little bit longer, a couple of you had asked me yesterday if it's okay if the papers go longer than the requirements. That's fine. You're not required to do that, but I don't take off points if it goes a little bit longer. What else can I tell you about it? Have fun with it. Again, it's a narrative paper. Be creative with the map. Be creative as much as you can or want to be with the paper itself. I use it as an introductory assignment, and I also use it as a way to kind of just get back into practice, right? It's probably been a while since you wrote a paper, maybe back in December when you were finishing up the fall semester. Maybe you're coming back to school after having been away for a few years. So use this as a way just to kind of get back into the rhythm of writing these papers, because we're going to write more about dieback for paper number 2 when we get to that. That's where we'll have a chance to write more about blight, by the way, the other story that I asked you to read for this week. But for right now, like I said, that's the structure. So if you want to start working on the paper and get a little head start on it, send along drafts. If you have them, I'll be happy to take a look and give you feedback on them. In the meantime, I'll have a new video up early next week that will focus more on blight, that story from Dieback. I'm not going to talk about that in this video today. It's also getting cold now because I don't even know, I think it's 20 degrees. The wind chill, is pretty heavy duty right now. So I'm going to probably have to shut this video off here in a couple minutes and put the heat back on in the car, because I shut it off when I parked, and I got put on my put my little parking ticket on the on my dashboard here. So that's it. So I'm hope you have a great day today. If you have any questions on this paper, let me know. I'll put another little update up on Blackboard, and like I said, I'll try to do another one of these little outdoor videos in the future. It'll be a lot more fun to do these actually when the weather gets nicer. Maybe I could do some location shooting, shooting of videos in some of the nice sort of parks that we have near us in our neighborhood here in the city. And it will also be a lot less cold than it is right now. So anyway, I hope you have a great weekend. I also hope you had a great first week of school, and I will see you next week in the next video. See you then. Bye.